Hi guys, this is Albert and welcome to my podcast. It's been a while since I made I suppose a review on a movie, but today I'm going to talk about a movie I seen last night, Astra. Pretty decent movie. Very similar to films like Interstellar, Gravity, elements of some old-fashioned movies like Space Truckers, Ghosts of Mars, these types of movies. Very similar elements being used. Foremost, the visuals for this movie are pretty impressive, and really opens up a whole different kind of dark perspective on what it'd be like in aerospace. Not just from mission point of view, but from the day-to-day existence of when we actually start to make space travel like kind of a normal routine, which I think was slightly overdue in respect of movies. They don't really focus on the mundane effects of mastery of space travel. But moving back to the story, it's about Brad Pitt, astronaut, Tommy Lee Jones, astronaut, who is, in this movie, Brad's father. Tommy Lee Jones' character, who is obsessed with contacting alien life, goes on a mission many years ago and vanishes, and leaves little Brad Pitt all by himself to become very lonely, very isolated, and very detached. But he still becomes Top Gun, the maverick of astronauts. No one can beat him. It's all good. So yeah, it's some kind of energy or antimatter wave is being transmitted from the planet Neptune, which is where Tommy Lee Jones' character and his ship was last heard of, or last seen, or where they got their last transmission from. And this wave, antimatter wave, seems to be knocking out the power grids all across the world, on Mars and on Moon. So they hire Brad Pitt, Top Gun, son of the father, to seek down and, well, not seek actually at all. They send him to Mars so he can send a transmission from Mars to Neptune to ask his daddy to stop shooting antimatter waves at the planets, which they suspect he's doing intentionally. I'll leave it at that, though, in respect of the movie storyline, because I don't want to spoil the ending. Moving back to visuals, this is probably the most beautifully visual movie I've seen in a while. The opening scene, especially, I feel like that's where most of the budget went. But it had very similar elements than the 2009 Star Trek. I know it's not the opening scene. It wasn't a similar opening scene. It was a similar scene that was done with in Star Trek 2009 with the drilling station on planet Earth. But in this reality, it's the observational tower, which is being built from the surface of the Earth into the lower atmosphere of Earth, and it looks like that's where most astronauts are working, Earthside. Interesting scene, very good visuals, terrifying, the thought of it. It's so high and far up. But Visuals, yeah. They've done a lot of work on making everything look very legitimate. Some of the best NASA style space shuttles being used. Very, very rigorous in design. Even the actions taken by the actors are very professional looking. Looks like they're kind of following routine like a normal astronaut on board a ship. So it looks like they all got their accustomed actor NASA training. Acting wise, the acting was pretty good. I really enjoyed Brad Pitt's performance. It seemed very real and legitimate. Although very extreme at times, his character lacks any sense of humor, so it's very unlikely you're going to laugh. You're not going to laugh in this movie. I'm sorry. You're just not going to laugh. It's a very profound, poetic type film, and you'll lead thinking about things, but you'll not remember ever laughing about anything. Well, unless you like monkeys. Unless you like monkeys. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to mention any more about monkeys. But if you watch the movie, you'll see a monkey. Story-wise, standard American type film with the profound ending, or the ending you somewhat expected, but you'd hope to do something different. Few twists, few turns. Now, focusing on the thing that I normally primarily focus on is the reality of the movie and how close to reality the script keeps, and how much movie reality is seeped into it. I will say there was an abundance of overreaction to the simple, mundane routine of one single man going from Earth to the Moon, Moon to the Mars, and Mars to Neptune. It just seemed very confusing to me if this is a fully functional day-to-day operation of transport ships and shuttles back and forth commercially. He must have landed on the worst days ever in the history of transport to the Moon and to Mars and beyond, because it just seems like anything that should not happen seems to happen guaranteed whenever he's in the same location. Which is a shame, because I get it. They're trying to make the movie somewhat dramatic, but god damn, can he just if this is such a routine process, for example, going from the Moon to Mars, this is a daily thing, like getting a Ryanair flight or something like that. Why, oh why, on the day that he's trying to do it, it has to be such an impossible task, It just kind of undermines the reality of, it's just intentionally being forced into the movie. I'm not going to spoil the details of it. You can get most of it from watching the trailer. But it's just, if it's already a problem getting from the Moon to Mars and beyond, or from Earth to Mars, then make that the reality consistently. Don't just mention, we have potential dangers, and then they all happen on the one day, because then you're just kind of preempting the actual thing you want to show later on. Just say it's very dangerous all the time, and then this thing that happens will just happen, and you'd expect it as a daily routine, not just a goddamn dramatic twist to a very slow moving movie. But it is what it is. In a nutshell, this movie is quite good. It's a very quiet movie, which I like, and performance from Brad Pitt, Tommy Lee Jones, perfectly good. Brad does some very, very nice monologue style performances. Well, he has to, because primarily he's by himself all the time. And yeah, that's really it in respect to that. There's no love interest, really, which is nice for once. It's just kind of like a man slowly going insane. Would I recommend this movie? Yeah, I would. I'd go see it for the sake of seeing it. Does it have rewatch value? Yeah, it does. It has the same kind of level of rewatch value as Interstellar. You watch it once a month, or not sorry, once a month, once a year, or once every 6 months. Not something you can watch over and over again. There's no hidden qualities to it. I heard a guy later on when I was leaving the cinema. He called the film pretentious. I'm not really sure if it was. The messages in the movie weren't too pretentious, I guess. They were just quite a bog standard American liberal type rhetoric that most movies have now. So why he would mention that as a standout element of the movie is beyond me. I will say one thing about the film. It did highlight a very good reality of what would happen in the future when moon travel or moon to Mars travel becomes this common, mundane, day-to-day routine, and people become somewhat indifferent to the whole process. It did highlight that very, very nicely in both the performance and depiction of astronauts in space on long-haul missions or on day-to-day missions, and the actual, I suppose, the space airports, what they would be like on the moon and on Mars. And it's just how disappointing it highlights how disappointing our species will be when we get to space. Because if we have to stop, and by this I mean if we can only get as far as the moon and we can only get as far as Mars, it's not a good thing. Because we're going to end up becoming we're prone to making things very comfortable. And by that, I mean we end up trying to build things that we already have at home on the moon and on Mars. But if we have other planets to move to, we won't take the time to make things convenient. But I'll leave it at that in respect of, I don't want to spoil too much of the movie. Well, it is now, I believe, 10 a.m. in the morning. I haven't had my coffee, so I'll leave my review with that. I'll be following up this week, hopefully with another 2 or 3 more podcasts in respect to some of the films I've seen over the last while. And I hope to get back to you soon. Thanks for listening. Share this podcast if you wish. And I hope you have a good day. Goodbye.